welcome to my channel. This is first video uploaded to YouTube. Technically my second. I have a non-360 degree video version of this video available also on my channel if you are interested in not dealing with the 360 degree gimmick. But I thought I would use this camera and this setup, which just showed up in the mail today actually, to try and give everybody a nice, completely transparent view of my city and the city I live in. My name's Greg. I'm a resident of downtown Portland, which recently has made itself quite the headlines in the news as the president has declared it a war zone and decided to deploy some of the National Guard troops, maybe some of the military, to quell the unrest and the World War II-like war going on inside of our city. So I thought, well, I'm not aware of any war, but I know a lot of people are watching the news across the country and they don't see what I see every day out my window of my downtown apartment. And I thought I might try and help give everybody a nice view of my city. So we're going to get started here. We're taking off out of Willamette Park, just on the south end of downtown. We're down in technically John's Landing area is this part of town. But I thought we're better to start than this beautiful boat ramp on this beautiful fall day. I'll have to excuse video quality and stuff. I don't really know what I'm doing when it comes to this, so bear with me here. But we'll go directly over to the ICE building. That was me just setting up in the directions on the phone, because I actually don't know how to get there. I've never really made my way out to the ICE building before. So I'm listening to some Google directions in my car at the moment. But we'll go directly there. I don't want to bury the lead. I know that's what people want to see, is this protest that's erupting there. So we're going to go north on Macadam Drive. This is the big street through John's Landing. Honestly, if you want to live in Portland too, this is a good video to kind of get a tour of the city. John's Landing is a gorgeous and kind of quiet part of town. There's a delicious Indian food restaurant coming up here on our left in this shopping center. There is a nice bakery. Great park. Honestly, Willamette Park is one of my favorite parks in the whole city. It's so quiet and serene in the mornings. It's almost difficult to feel stressed there. Lots of parking too, which is nice. I have to drive out this far. It's a little far to walk, and there's not as good public transit on this end of town. Anyhow, I'm rambling. I'm sorry. I promise I'll be quiet for most of this video and give you the opportunity to just listen as we go through. I want you to be able to hear and see as much of the city as possible through an unfiltered lens. Pretty literally. Sorry for the raindrops. But we are starting about a mile south of the ICE building, the epicenter, as I've heard it called, of the protests. We're going to go drive straight in to the nucleus of everything. We're going to get right in the heart of it. We'll loop through the south waterfront, which is the area that that's in, and we'll drive past it again. So feel free to pause the video and let you know we're getting close. Feel free to pause the video and look around as I drive through, but also just keep in mind you'll get a second chance. So don't worry. This is the ICE building on our right here, with the chain link fence around it. Just FYI, some graffiti on it. The bottom story windows are boarded up for security. Around this corner, we can see the protest in its full and mighty glory. This is it right here, folks, on the right. Yep, that was it. That was the entire protest. That was what the federal government has declared is a war zone, and that's the reason your tax dollars are being spent to deploy troops to this otherwise fine and beautiful city. Just to kind of show the impact to the neighborhood that this war is having, I'm going to circle up and then back down the south waterfront here along the streetcar rails. We'll go as far as the car is allowed to go. It turns into pedestrian zone at the far north end. We'll turn to come back and we'll look at the I.C.E. building again for you, just in case you missed it the first time. As you can see, there's not an overwhelming number of broken windows. There are no gobs of people protesting, with burning, with looting things. This is noon. This was taken almost exactly noon on October the 1st, 2025. It's actually a really beautiful neighborhood, the South Waterfront. A lot of these high-rises are fairly new, built within the last 15 or so years. There's a park on our left, and we have a farmer's market here. We're maybe right near here. Dog park and a community garden on the other side of the block. Very walker-friendly on either side of us. There's a big walking trail that goes along the Willamette River, all the way from the park that we started at, actually. You can walk all the way up here and quite a bit further. It's a 40-mile urban trail within the city of Portland, available for walking. Nice view of those beautiful glass-clad super structures of those buildings there, the skyscrapers in the south waterfront, plainly visible from I-5, which is on our right, just past these buildings and parking lots here. You can see the semi-trucks up there driving on it. Beautiful view if you're coming into Portland from the south. This is those buildings are exactly what you get to see first. Beautiful at night with them all lit up. Okay, so again, here's the I.C.E. building. The actual facility itself is the building on our right, on the right of this intersection. Stop here and go left again to take another look. This is the protest building. Warzone Portland, right here. The worst of the worst. Looks like they've got a food station and some barbecues. There's 2 tents and 2 pop-ups. Really good 60 or 70 feet of sidewalk right there, taken up by the protest. But that's not all. There's a lot more to downtown. We've been told that the entire city is war-ravaged. I disagree with that assessment as a person who lives here, so I figure I'll go ahead and I'll take us up into downtown. We'll go back mostly along the same path that we just took, but we'll make a right turn, go up to Harbor Drive, and then enter into downtown, take some surface streets around, and I'll show you some of the other sites around that are absolutely worth visiting if you ever come to Portland. Just that way you can understand this is actually what it looks like. This is an unfiltered, uncut view of the city. Make your own judgment right here. As you can see, this section of town actually has a pretty decent streetcar track, streetcar connection. Let's see, we're driving on the track right now. I don't think we've seen a streetcar down here yet. Just ahead of us, and we can't drive up there, so it's not a clear view, but just ahead of us is the cable car that actually, like the tram that takes you up to OHSU, the Oregon Health and Sciences University, I believe is what that stands for. And it's actually up the hill that we're going to be facing briefly. You can't see it through the trees, but there is a nice aerial tram that takes you up there, so interesting form of mass transit that our city has. Vertical and horizontal. Alright, there it is just above us. You can see the tram in the sky. I think it's $2 a ride. Maybe it's gone up by now. Gone up now. Takes you directly into the hospital. So this area is a lot of doctors that definitely commute that way. And on our right is Zidell Yards. This is the future home of our Major League Baseball stadium. They're actually going to tear down that shipyard and replace it with a baseball stadium here underneath the Ross Island Bridge, which is very exciting for us residents. Always eager to get more sports teams into the town. Another reason to come visit us here in war-torn Portland. This stoplight is at Tillicum Crossing, which I believe I've heard is the most transit diverse intersection in the country, or maybe this is the most transit diverse mile in the country, or something along those lines, with, you know, cars, the streetcar tracks that we can see clearly on our left. We've got the light rail max lines that are crossing in front of us. We have bus stops here, and then behind us that aerial train. Not to mention the Walking Bridge. So we can't turn right there and go across that bridge. That's all just for mass transit. The city is super connected, especially downtown, with really clean, easy to navigate, and frankly very affordable mass transit options. I ride it quite often, especially as a downtown resident. It's a lot easier than driving these streets, and certainly a lot cheaper than finding parking. There's a street car going past us. And up above you can see the nest that is I-5 interchange. Go up and over the bridge on our right, to go over the river. Taking the streetcar sure beats being stuck in traffic, let me tell you. This hotel here on the right is pretty cool. My parents stayed here once when they were visiting. I liked it quite a bit. It's a nice little area. Just further to our right, just past it, is a marina, a beautiful park. And again, that walking trail is continuing all the way behind us along the riverfront. We don't really get to see it much in this video, but all the way from the beginning of the video up to here, you can walk. You can keep walking all the way to the north end of downtown, beyond where we'll even drive today. Huge pedestrian and bike sort of scooter trails keep you safe away from the cars. So here we are in Harbor Drive, coming up to downtown, the main entrance to the city if you're coming off of I-5. This is one of the main entrances, I suppose, to downtown. Usually the one I take at least. We'll cross over Naito. We'll make a right turn on, I think we end up turning on 4th. We go through the back side of City Hall, get a look at the parks in front of the federal building, and the courthouse, and the jail. Give everybody a nice look at that other federal property. This Marriott Hotel in front of us, the sort of Y-shaped building, has a beautiful view of the river, which you can see off to our right down below. That's an extension of that walking trail, which becomes part of the Naito Walkway. This is Naito Street right in front of us. Wonderful fall views as we have this sprinkly day. Beautiful to just take a few seconds and look around at all the trees and the fallen leaves, and it's almost hard to remember that this has been declared a war zone. cross over 2nd Street here in a moment once this van gets out of our way. To our left, we've got the backside right now of the Arlene Schnitzer Concert Hall. Broadway Theater here in Portland. Broadway shows play here. It's a smaller stage. They intend to, I think, tear it down and rebuild it with a new design, is what I've heard. I know they've been working through a few different concepts. I think they landed on a tear down and a rebuild, but this building here was built in the 30s. Honestly, architecturally, so it looks beautiful, but it's not seismically sound anymore. So they're going to tear it down and make a new theater, but in the meantime, beautiful venue for looking at off-Broadway productions. Make our turn here to go on the backside of City Hall. Should see it on the left shortly. The big, tall building we're driving alongside of is the Wells Fargo Tower, one of the tallest buildings in the city of Portland. So City Hall here on our left at this traffic light. You can see the backside. And to our right is the park in front of the federal building, the federal courthouse and the jail. You can't see them too clearly today through the trees. They still have all their leaves up. We're not quite that far into fall yet. You can see a lot of traffic stanchions going on. That is a result of them trimming those trees back a little bit. It's road work. But importantly, it's a pretty peaceful section of town, if you ask me. Maybe some traffic noise, but nothing too scary. Take a look to the right of that park. Let's see if you can see the more that people are talking about. On our left here is the backside of the Portland building. On the other side of this building is the second largest copper statue in the United States. Very controversial in the city. People aren't sure if they like it or not. We'll get a good look at it yourself. This section of town was the epicenter of a lot of the 2020 riots, protests. On the left, we can still see this building is blocked up with some plywood, a little bit of graffiti on it. But otherwise, it's a pretty much unscarred section of town. Some open shops, lots of pedestrians. Lots of road work today. Hate to be looking for parking right now. So we're going to go underneath the Sky Bridge here at the mall at the south, or excuse me, this is the east end of Pioneer Square. It's a big shopping mall with some bars, entertainment venues, and movie theater inside of it. Honestly, just a cool set of escalators. That's not the lamest thing about it. We're going to make a left here past the abandoned mall that's kitty-cornered to us. Take a special look at it. This was one of the worst parts of downtown for a while, after I forget to stop for these pedestrians. This building here, now on our right, the mural outside, was considered one of the largest open-air drug markets in the United States during the 2020s. It's been completely cleared out, ready to be repurposed. The city took care of a lot of the issues there, but we can still see some scarring on it. They boarded it up to keep out the trespassers and squatters that tried to occupy it a couple of years ago. I think at this point I've heard that it's pretty much beyond repair. It might need to be a tear down. I don't know too much about the development of the building, but I thought I'd take us past it to see that it's not nearly as scary as it was even before COVID, honestly. It was bad in the 20-teens. We'll cruise here. We'll get up to Pioneer Square on the south end of it, so you can see Pioneer Courthouse. You can see the Mac stop. We have a bus that comes up to us and kind of blocks our view of it a little bit, but I'll drive past it again, so don't worry. Happy security bird on our left here at the bank. Pioneer Square, the area that we're driving up to in a moment, was also one of the main gathering points for protesters through the George Floyd protests through the 20s, the early 20s. It's a main gathering place, honestly, in the city for any reason whatsoever. There are often festivals there. Music, concerts. That's the word I'm looking for. Concerts. I think they do movies sometimes out there. I know there's a big church service that meets there on Sundays. Great evangelical outreach program, honestly. They do a lot of worship. Everybody's invited. No cost sort of a deal. You get to go do your Sunday morning worship, whether you have a house or not, which is actually pretty cool. The Apple Store here on our left real fast. Want to point that out. Notoriously used to have those big metal walls built up around it to keep people out, worried about looters. Obviously not an issue anymore. This is just roughly the same area too that President Biden stayed in when he visited Portland a couple of years back. I think it was 2023 maybe that he came and visited our city. I don't believe President Trump has actually ever been here, or maybe certainly not when he was president. A copper statue here on our left. If you look up, it's above the doorway. Reaching down to us here on the street. And City Hall to our left again. This is the front side of City Hall. Run into the city councilors as they come out of the building before while I'm out here on a stroll. This is near my apartment again. I do live down here. The sound of the mag sleep. Warms my heart. Look at those windows and you can see even noon on a... What is this? Noon on a Wednesday. It's not that crowded. The stops are clean. The streets are nice. They're not noisy. Certainly a lot quieter than a lot of downtown areas and metro cities that I've visited before. We'll do a sort of left, 3 lefts make a right situation so I can get around this block without going over the tracks. The brick building ahead of us to the right, just past this parking garage, is the Coin Tower. Coin News is inside of that building, as well as countless other offices. They have their camera on top of that building that they showed videos of during the weather broadcasts in the morning. It's fun to be able to yell, "Hey, I can see my house from there." And again, this is another view on our right of that park with the federal courthouse, other government buildings. And again, we're looking at the back and then the side of City Hall to our left. Again, this is an area that's being declared a war zone, and federal troops are being deployed to come intervene there. Building on our right across the street to the right actually is a tree on that upper step. You can't really see it too clearly in this video. We don't get far enough out. There's quite a history regarding that tree apparently, and people trying to get up to see it. I don't know too many of the stories, but I do like to look up into the skyline and see a tree growing on the 20-something story of the building. It's always a cool sight. So we make a right turn here, and we're going to head back down into Pioneer Square area as I'm trying to make this yellow light. Melting pot on our right. Some subterranean restaurant. They specialize in fondue. Everything is fondue dishes. Fogo de Chao on our right as well. Some fancy eateries. Hilton looks like it's busy today. Building, beautiful as always. I always love looking in that lobby. Such a warm glow to it. Just ahead of us, on the inside this bus, is Pioneer Square. Sorry, we have to listen to its engine for a moment. There's just too many high-quality bus lines in this town for us to get a nice view, I suppose. see coming across here, Pioneer Courthouse on our right, Pioneer Square on our left. Really not a scary part of town like some people will try and tell you that it is. It's certainly not a war zone because of acts of violence. Nordstrom's and the Ritz-Carlton over on our left. Kind of see the Ritz-Carlton. Much more clearly see Nordstrom. We'll just keep wiggling back and forth, zigzagging around the blocks of this area for a few minutes. As we can see, there are a couple of homeless people here in the area. Pioneer Square is a pretty common sight to see. Unfortunately, just sort of one of the hallmarks of the economy that we have these days. It's just a reminder exactly how precarious a lot of our financial situations are. See a couple cars up ahead making right turns into a closed road. Watch their interaction with the construction worker up there. Yelling from a construction worker who just comes to a settlement with the driver who ignored his no turn here sign and move on with their days, and some forgiveness that you don't see that too often in New York City or Chicago. Just some of that friendly Portland the war zone of the city of Portland right there. When I moved down here a couple of years ago, it was just after the riots had really subdued for the most part. But the city was still definitely in a stage of healing. COVID lockdowns were still pretty normal. A lot of this was boarded up and graffitied. It definitely did look worse years ago. If you left Portland or if you left downtown during that time, it's important to realize exactly how much it started to heal and how much improvement there is. Again, finally, the city is on the ground floor, surrounded with glass. Portland's been facing a bit of a reputation problem for the last few years because of just its reaction to the civil issues going on a few years ago, 5 years ago actually now. People really allowed that to stick in their minds, and they haven't taken the time to notice how much healing is occurring. It's a city of healing. If you think about where your life was perhaps 5 years ago versus where you are now, it's a pretty substantial difference, and the same is true for us here. Smokey the Bear license plates. This came out a couple of years ago. Here's the back alley behind Nordstrom's, the dumpster drop-off area for these two buildings. Not the most glamorous section of town, but again, I'm trying to show off a little bit of everything, including even the scars. Again, even with the light rail going by. Nice, quiet downtown area. Beautiful, drizzly fall day. Come up here through Galleria and we'll make our right turn to head down towards Powell's Books. Common tourist destination, and frankly a great spot for locals. My wife loves to go down and visit. Galleria Max stop there was where I used to catch the Max to head back out of town when I didn't live in the downtown area. Ritz-Carlton building on our right. I think it's the Ritz-Carlton. Yeah. That's a building with a lot of struggles. It's not able to pay its bills, unfortunately. We've had so few visitors coming into town, partly because of those misinformed reputations that we seem to have. They're struggling to get the occupancy that they need inside the building to make ends meet. It'd be, I know, helpful to them and helpful to pretty much every other building you're seeing down here and every other small business. If we had some visitors who wanted to come out and hang out with us here in town. Shake Shack here on our left, followed by Powell's Books, Sizzle Pie Pizza on our right. That truck there. It's a cool little intersection. Very popular streetcar stop if you're riding the streetcar. This is definitely one of those areas where it empties out. A lot of people come to visit this. My wife, avid reader, loves books, everything to do with books and coffee. And Powell's Books here is one of the largest bookstores in America. It's a full city block. Has a cafe inside of it. Absolutely worth maybe Googling some pictures of the inside. Definitely worth a visit. Burnside is the street that we're stopped at, considered by some to be the north and south dividing line for downtown. So some people's definition, we've left downtown and moved up towards the Pearl District now. Ritzy section of town. Very hipster chic sort of deal. Of your flannels and your beanies and your latte art. This is the section of town where you find a lot of that sort of stuff, like quintessential Portland. Got a scooter here behind us joining us in traffic. Of release signs up here in this area. A lot of businesses went under during COVID, unfortunately. Just the lockdowns were hard, I think, on everybody. If you're a small business person or looking to start a small business, you need to find a place to do it. Let me tell you, real estate is aplenty, especially in the downtown area. Probably some pretty highly negotiable rents down here. Pedestrian nooks and crannies, or pedestrian-only nooks and crannies here. It's a cool section of town. Gonna make a left here and head back up towards Burnside. Nice park on our right. We're pretty much on the pretty far north at this point, well above the nucleus of downtown. Just a couple more apartment buildings, and then eventually I think the train station if we kept going roughly that direction. These are some of my favorite townhouses here right now. I'm going to slow down so we can just take a look at them because they're just so pretty. I don't know that I'd want to live with my front door facing the street like this, but man, I love walking through this area. Just taking a gander at those buildings and daydreaming a little bit. As a downtown resident, it's difficult for me to drive through this area, to live in this area, and look at and see what people who call it a war zone are seeing. I suppose if you were watching reruns of the news from 5 years ago, it'd be easy to forget that growth and healing occur. I think it'd be easy to forget that that was 5 years ago. I mean, COVID was a pretty big time warp for all of us, I think. But it's frustrating as somebody who, pays taxes and lives here to see my tax dollars going and supporting setting troops here to quell the unrest that supposedly exists. To hear that the city is in ruins, tattered, World War II-like is what he described it as, what President Trump described it as. And it's frustrating because, as I hope you can see as we drive around here, it's really not that bad. It's a beautiful midday in our city. There's not much going on. In all honesty, it's a pretty lazy city. We don't wake up super early. We stay up pretty late. We like our lattes and our alcohol. If you like wine or, homebrew beers, this is your place to come. Not exactly the epicenter of rebellion that we seem to have the national reputation for. And I think a lot of that is the last time we made the news, it was for a lot of rebellious acts, and there hasn't been anything since. There isn't a lot of media out there about us, other than, of course, the whole show Portlandia. So I'm hoping that a video like this can help fill in that gap of awareness, give you a chance to look at the city for yourself and form an opinion. Right here, we're just a block or two from the homeless shelter, and finally we're seeing some pretty decent graffiti on the building to our left. This is often considered kind of an uglier section of Burnside, an impoverished section of downtown, and yet it's really not the criminal underbelly that it has the reputation for being. It's just a strong reminder that the news or the TV that you're watching perhaps isn't always sharing an accurate point of view. Building behind us, the big, tall, pink building, also known as Big Pink, has Portland City Grill on the 20-something floor of the building. I'm not sure if I ran that stop sign. Switched it. Not fast. Off to our left here, right in here is the Gospel Mission. Again, we can see it's a pretty decent street. I'd walk down it. On our right, it's kind of dead. There's a couple camps set up. Finally, some tents on the side of the road with some urban camping going on and graffiti. But again, not World War II-like. So we get up here on the Burnside Bridge. We're going to cross over the Willamette River. This river kind of cuts through the center of Portland. We'll take a quick jaunt over to the central east side, the industrial section. Beautiful views up here of the river. Bridges. Look how many bridges. The Lloyd Center Towers over there on our left. Coming up here as we approach MLK. The building with the crazy murals, I don't know its name. We'll just call it the building with the crazy murals because you can see why. And 5 down below us. I mean, so far I haven't seen anything that's warlike at all. I haven't seen any civil unrest or anything unpatriotic even. At the end of the day, I'm here with a $300 or $400 camera and some gear strapped to the outside of my car, and I'm driving through this town and nobody's even batted an eye. You'd think if it was a crime den, people would be running up trying to grab it or something. Homicides in the streets, no looting, no smashed windows. Just a city trying to survive. we come up here over the bridge, we'll make a right on the far side, go down onto Naito Parkway. Love this building here on the left though, with the trees and the pots hanging off the side. That's pretty cool. City Liquidators Furniture building down there. Both sides of the street. On the left, sorry. Nice view of the interchange, and then once we get underneath it, beautiful view of the downtown skyline as we run back towards downtown. We'll finish up this drive going down Naito to the south again. Give everybody a chance to look at the park. Got the Oregon Maritime Museum parked down there on our right. This is usually the park that you see in the news if there's a large march or protest in Portland City. Oftentimes comes up and crosses that bridge the other direction that we're driving right now. It starts down here in this park. No King's Days, 50-51 movement protests lately have been drawing pretty large crowds of tens of thousands of people that fill this entire green space, but also otherwise we have a lot of festivals all throughout the summer. The Jazz or Blues Festival down the south end of the waterfront where we started earlier, all along this section. Every Saturday we have the Saturday market that's up behind us. We didn't drive past that area, but it's underneath the Burnside Bridge pretty much. There's always something going on in this park. World Trade Center's here on our right. These buildings with the bridge going across the road. This is pretty much the end of our drive. I hope that it's been illuminating and hopefully something useful for you to form your own opinion about whether or not Portland really is the war zone that you've heard about or maybe even seen in the news. This is actually Portland here. I'm not trying to sell you a product or entice you to watch my media channel. Just want to take a second and show you the town I live in. Beautiful city that it is. It's important to remember that not everything we see on TV is real, I suppose. That's the moral of the story right there. In any case, thank you all for coming and joining, taking a few minutes out of your time or out of your day to listen to me drone on about the city of Portland. Y'all have a great day.